Hi guys, it's so great to spend some time with you again. And this past weekend in our series Exodus, we looked at the life of Moses. Moses was one of the most incredible leadership characters in the Bible. You can actually divide Moses' life up into three sectors. The first 40 years, he was trying to become somebody in Pharaoh's court. And then the second 40 years, where he was becoming nobody in the desert. And then the last 40 years, we actually became somebody in God's purposes, actually became God's body. So the episode in Moses' life I'd like to revisit with you is in Exodus chapter 3 and 4. And it's that moment where he confronts God, or God confronts him through a burning bush. And there's this conversation between him and God. And it's actually magnificent what happens there, because God asks him a question, a very important question. God asks him, what does he have in his hand? Now, I've got the same stick that we had this weekend on the recording, the previous weekend, and this was actually typical of a staff of a shepherd. It wasn't something magnificent or something with a lot of gold or silver on it. It was something useful that they would regularly replace if it's broken. But in Moses' hand, there was his staff, and his staff actually is a symbol of his identity as a shepherd, his income as a shepherd, and his influence as a shepherd. So in his hand, he had his income, his identity, and his influence. And then God asks him to do something. God asks him to throw the stick down, the staff down. And as he threw it down, it became alive. And it became a tool in God's hands. And many times we as human beings, we hold on to dead things for our identity, our income, and our influence. And then God asks us to throw it down, lay it at his feet, if you may. And then he turns it into something living. And that's my challenge for you in this next season, is take the source of your influence, your income, and your identity, and lay it down before God's feet and let God resurrect it. Let God give it life. So that as you enter this new promised season for us, your identity, your influence, and your income will be something that has been touched and made alive by God himself. Now, one of the beautiful things about this is after this episode, it was never referred to again as the staff of Moses, but always referred to as the rod of God. And that's how God turns a nobody into a somebody. That nobody lays what he has at God's feet. God turns it into something living and works through that and makes that nobody God's body. And that's our purpose, isn't it? Our purpose is to be his presence in every place. Why don't you dedicate the sources of your identity, income, and influence to God, and let him bring new life to that? God bless you.